Welcome to Detroit. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass. You can drown them. And that's what we gotta be. That's who we have to be. Because that's our domain. That is our domain. Because we'll tread water as long as it takes to fucking bury you.
Takes the snap, turns, gives to Montgomery, right side, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions! Yes.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions friends, fans, and family members. Welcome on back to another episode of Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike. And as always, we're diving on in. So folks, we're back at it again, and the reason why we're back at it for this episode is to yet again have some more fun at the Chicago Bears' expense, and specifically Ben Johnson's expense, and also, while we're at it, Caleb Williams' expense. Why are we talking about this? I know it's a Detroit Lions channel. I know some people were like, David, you're talking about the Bears. Aren't you a Detroit Lions podcaster? Yes, I am. But just because I'm a Detroit Lions podcaster does not mean I do not pay attention to what else is going on in our division. Especially when we're talking about a team like the Bears who are copycatters. They are trying everything they can to be like us. The only problem is they not like us. They're not even close to like us. And as the reports keep coming out from training camp for them, it is becoming even more painfully abundantly clear that they are nowhere even close to like us. Why? Because, again, they are having an implosion. They are just absolutely falling apart offensively in training camp. I already talked about how in day one, very first pass that freaking Caleb Williams threw, it was an interception. How freaking Ben Johnson, who was so frustrated, so freaking over with how badly his offense was performing, how badly they were not able to do their jobs, he told them, "You're out. You're done. I need somebody else to come in." And it's like, okay, you would have thought that maybe after that first day that things might have turned around. Maybe they might have, gotten their heads turned on and, maybe screwed in straight. But no. Instead, what has been going on is more of the same thing. It is getting even worse at Chicago for the freaking, Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams supposed resurrection of the Bears and supposedly turning them around. And, oh, by the way, the fact that Ben Johnson wants to say that he's trying to build a dynasty in Chicago? Come on now. Give me a freaking break. If you think for half a second I am not going to find every opportunity I can to talk about how bad the freaking Chicago Bears, after they decided to go ahead and steal Ben Johnson, after they decided that, we're going to try and copy what the Detroit Lions are doing, you honestly think I'm not going to talk about it? Oh, you'd be sadly mistaken, because every time that they do, actually just destroy themselves, absolutely look embarrassing themselves, I'm going to find every possible way I can to once again reiterate, re-show, re-solidify that, oh, that's right, Ben Johnson was not the reason why the Lions offense was successful in Detroit. And that, oh, by the way, he's not going to be able to turn things around in Chicago with Caleb Williams. So let's take a look at what's happened over, what's going on currently right now, and what happened yesterday. So in day 2, again, like I said, the same thing continued to happen. In 11-on-11s, reports came out that the offensive line was allowing pressure on Williams, that, there had been a chance for a couple of sacks. So again, all that money, all those resources that the Bears invested on the interior of their offensive line to try and bolster it up to supposedly make their offensive line similar to what the Lions have, to try and give it a similar vibe, a similar flow, whatever term you'd like to use, already showing it ain't working. Already showing that it is pretty much like a damn sieve. Because it's like, oh, if your offensive line in 11-on-11 practice cannot keep your quarterback safe, what the hell do you think's going to happen when you get to the regular season? And then there were other reports about how the offense had to reset itself multiple times, that there were constant rehuddlings because apparently the players couldn't figure out how to get themselves set. The players were still trying to make sure, hey, do we understand the play? Do we understand what the call is? Again, not a good look for Ben Johnson, because it's like, hey, you're supposed to be this offensive guru, this offensive genius, and yet rather than teaching, it looks like you are just letting your players absolutely, burn. And again, more bad news for the Bears. Bad shotgun snap that went over Caleb Williams' head. Obviously something you never want to see happen, because shotgun snaps, hey, it's, you know what? You just snap the ball back and you're just trying to get it back there with enough zip, but at the same time, so that way the quarterback doesn't have to either crouch down or has to see the ball go over his head. Even a Bears beat reporter, the reporter's name was Zach Pearson, literally said this. He said, you can just tell that the cadence isn't fully there yet for this offense. Again, this from the coach that was supposedly the most innovative, most creative mind in all of football when it came to offense, who has had all of the offseason to make sure his players understood the playbook, make sure the players were in the playbook, studying it, understanding it. And yet here we are, 3 days into training camp, and it looks like Pee Wee League out there for them. Because, oh, that was day 2. Day 3? Now we go back to Caleb Williams specifically. Caleb Williams has always had this problem in regards to accuracy. This goes back to when he was in college. Colin Cowherd has talked about it quite a bit. The accuracy component for Caleb Williams is very much hit or miss. There are times he can put a surgical strike on somebody, but then there are times his throws are wildly erratic. And once again, we're hearing those reports about how the accuracy is not there, how there's interceptions that are just coming out in bunches. And again, that's already come out of camp, if I recall correctly, for today. Because I literally saw a Twitter post on this. It said that on 7-on-7s, working in the red zone, where your offense should be at the most efficient, where it should be working at the best of its possibility to, number 1, score, but also number 2, don't turn the ball over, on back-to-back plays, Caleb Williams was picked off. Now, I'll give at least one little slight caveat here. On one play, it was a tip ball at apparently the offensive line, which I'm trying to figure out how the thunder that's going to happen, because if it's 7-on-7, you're not supposed to have offensive linemen on the field. So I'm trying to figure out how the ball was tipped at the line in order for that to work. So I don't know if the guy got it wrong, but apparently it was picked off all the same. But apparently, the second time, the second straight throw that was picked off was a bad throw, it was a bad decision, and again, as I said, subsequently picked off. And again, there are even more reports that are coming out as I'm recording this that literally are coming out that, again, Caleb Williams is throwing even more interceptions. Apparently, he's already thrown like 3 or 4 today at camp. So it's like Caleb Williams is turning into a freaking, automatic regular interception machine. And it's like, listen, I get it. It's practice. That's when you're supposed to make mistakes. But I'm telling you this right now. You don't want to see these mistakes constantly being made. You don't want to see constantly bad decisions. You don't want to see lapses in mental ability. You don't want to see or hear this. I'm telling you this right now. Ben Johnson has got to be absolutely fuming in practice. Because after being with the Detroit Lions for 3 years where, hey, you know what? It was a well-oiled machine. Didn't really have any problems. Oh, sure, there'd be times where it'd be a bad day or two. But 3 straight bad days, multiple times where your quarterback is making bad decisions, offensive line can't protect said quarterback. Even your own beat reporters are saying that things are off. And, your offense can't seem to figure out how to get in and out of the huddle, can't seem to figure out where it's supposed to get itself set on the offensive line. Yeah. I can tell you this right now. Ben Johnson is probably sitting in his office thinking, what in the hell did I sign up for? Because let's just call it for what it is. When Ben Johnson was with the Detroit Lions, like I said, this was not something he had to worry about. This was not something that he had to wonder, hey, you know what? Is my quarterback going to go out and throw multiple interceptions today? Hey, is my offense not going to be able to understand the play designs, understand the play cadences, understand, the shifts, the protections, all that other happy crap? Now, in Chicago, it is a completely different kettle of fish. And also now in Chicago, all of the pressure is on Ben Johnson to get this whole freaking, circus show to perform. Ben Johnson was only in charge of the offense when he was here in Detroit. But now as the head coach, hey, you know what? It's not just the offense that you're going to have on your shoulders. It's the entire team. And for me, these reports, what makes them just absolutely just wonderful to hear, make me just laugh my butt off and smile and grin from ear to ear, is that it shows that the delusion that the Bears fandom had, thinking that Johnson and Williams were going to come right on in and correct the ship instantly and somehow make it into this contender, have already completely vanished almost without a trace, because it's like you go and you take a look on Twitter and you start typing in things like, oh, Caleb Williams, or Bears training camp, or Ben Johnson. You will already see Bears fans saying the season's already lost, we're already in trouble. So it's like the ship is already sinking, but yet there are some Bears fans that are scurrying for lifeboats. And again, for the Lions, this kind of news, it absolutely 100% again solidifies the immense value and extreme importance that Goff, not Ben Johnson, had for the offense. Again, everybody when Ben Johnson was here and as he was leaving wanted to say the same damn thing about Ben Johnson. Oh, Jared Goff is not the reason this offense was able to do what it was able to do. Jared Goff is going to have an off year without Ben Johnson. This offense is not going to be the same, blah, 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 blah. Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. With the reports that we've been hearing out of Chicago's training camp, I'm beginning to once again know that I was right in saying that no, it wasn't Ben Johnson what made this offense run and tick. It was Jared Goff. Because let's think about this here. Ever since Jared Goff has been here in Detroit, except for that first year when he was under Anthony Lynn for the majority of the year, but ever since then, when oh, that's right, the talent was better. Oh, you know what? You had your entire team culture was solidified. The team was getting better not only in terms of talent, but also in experience. The whole 9 yards, Goff showed repeatedly that he is extremely smart with the offense. He's laser accurate, and he is decisive with the football, which was reflected in the stats that Goff put up last year. Again, I've said it before. I'll keep saying it because you know what? It be the truth. It be the facts. I don't care if you don't like it. The facts don't change upon your opinion. The facts are the facts. Jared Goff last year was a top 5 quarterback. The statistics show it. Second in completion percentage, second in passing yards, second in pass average per throw, fourth in passing touchdowns, third in pass touchdown percentage, second in passer rating, and sixth in QBR. That is a top 5 quarterback. And again, the thing about this that really, again, makes this even more abundantly clear is that, the fact that Goff has been able to do as well as he has, yeah, you know what? That's not all on Goff. I'll be the first to say that. Obviously having the talent, obviously having the culture built, the coaches, all that does factor in. But here's why I bring this up. Because if it was all about coaching, like some people have tried to argue with me that, oh, coaching's more important than the players. Coaching is what makes the players. If that was the case, then why after 3 days of practice the Bears offense looks like a damn dumpster fire? If, Ben Johnson was such a great coach, if Ben Johnson was able to be this, innovative guy with offense, why is it then the Bears are struggling so poorly and so badly on the offensive side of the ball in their own camp? And again, I know some people also, they're going to say, well, you're just being too hard on Caleb Williams because, yeah, you know what? Jared Goff had 12 interceptions last year. Caleb Williams only had 6, so joke's on you, David. Okay, let's also remember something here. Caleb Williams also had a completion percentage that was a whole 10% lower than Jared Goff, number one. So again, that highlights towards the accuracy component that I was talking about earlier in the show. But let's also consider this. It wasn't just those mistakes that Caleb Williams had. Because, oh, that's right. Not only did he have 6 interceptions last year, Caleb Williams also had 6 lost fumbles last year, which, last I checked from my elementary math, 6 plus 6 equals 12. So he had the same amount of turnovers as Jared Goff did last year because, that's right. Jared Goff didn't have any lost fumbles last year. So, again, if you really want to start comparing apples to apples here, Goff makes Caleb Williams look like a prepubescent redheaded stepchild. Nobody wants him. Nobody thinks that much of him except his own fan base. Because again, ever since Caleb Williams has come in, there's always been these reports about how, you know what, man, maybe the maturity's not there. Hey, you know what, the accuracy doesn't seem to be down all the way. And there's all these questions that have surrounded Caleb Williams. And then again, before he even got drafted, there were tons of reports that he wanted emphatically not to go to Chicago. So it's like you've got all these things that are surrounding Caleb Williams, but yet when it comes to Jared Goff, he is damn rock solid. Committed to Detroit, considered one of the best in the NFL, one of the most accurate, one of the best, if not the best pocket passer in the NFL. With Jared Goff, there are no question marks. But with Caleb Williams, there are question marks that go on for days, just like his painted fingernails. And again, just to continue to add further to all this, as far as the fanfare of Ben Johnson and about how, he was going to make, Caleb Williams into this just absolutely just elite quarterback, I'm going to tell you this right now. Again, if Ben Johnson, with all the fanfare to his supposed genius, was supposed to somehow turn the Bears into this offensive juggernaut and turn them into a respectable team, again, based upon what you're already hearing from training camp for the Bears, for us Lions fans, it's absolutely great news because it means, the Bears ain't going nowhere. But for Bears fans, it is painfully obvious that, like I've said before, when I was trying to get people to understand this in the offseason earlier on, just because Ben Johnson was the offense coordinator in Detroit doesn't mean he was the reason that the offense actually worked. Again, as I've stated before, and I just proved it again, Jared Goff was the reason the offense was primarily working. It was not Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson can call plays, but you know what? Jared Goff is the one that has to make the decisions. Jared Goff is the one that absolutely, is going to see what the defense is doing, is going to call kills, is going to call checks, is going to make sure that he checks with the offensive line for protections. He's going to be the one that's reading the defensive coverage, making sure that the wide receivers are also on the same page. Ben Johnson does not do any of that crap. And again, the fact that the Bears offense and Caleb Williams in said offense has struggled so much right out the gate, despite all of the time that they have had to, dive into the playbook, understand what Ben Johnson wants from them, to study said playbook. But yet, despite all of that and the fact that Caleb Williams has supposedly spent so much time at the facility getting ready for all this, the fact that they have come out and quite literally have laid a goose egg, have looked absolutely embarrassing, that is a huge, huge, huge red flag. And the fact that, going back to, again, when Detroit had Ben Johnson, that's right, I don't recall ever once hearing that Goff was having problems like this. I don't remember that the Lions' offense was having problems implementing the offense, running the offense, getting set, protecting, none of that stuff. So again, one of two things is either true here. Either, one, Ben Johnson is not the offensive genius that everyone claimed he was, or, number two, Caleb Williams is not good enough to run the offense. Because, let me just put this out there for you. If the offense of the Bears was performing the way it was supposedly, anticipated or expected to perform with Ben Johnson now in tow, then, you know what? The argument could then be made in reverse that it was all Ben Johnson and not Goff as to why the offense worked. But this offensive implosion that the Bears are having from both Johnson and Williams, as far as the offense not working and as far as Williams constantly making mistakes, it proves that to be a lie. Because if Johnson was really the reason why everything worked, then you know what? As soon as he came to Chicago, it should have been off to the races. But yet, instead of off to the races, it's bad news Bears. That's why I've said, you know what, Ben Johnson, he could be whatever you want to call him. You can say all that, you know what, he made these creative plays, he's come up with all these trick plays, blah, 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 blah. Okay, you know what, that don't amount for a bucket of warm spit. What matters is, can you teach? What matters is, can you get your players to understand what you're trying to do? Can you actually get everybody on the same page? And quite clearly, what we have been hearing and seeing out of training camp for the Bears, and much to the delight of us Lions fans, is that's not the case. And again, it shows that now that John Morton is in charge, who, again, was also there when the offense was implemented originally in 2022, life will continue to go on for us. Because you know why? It's not the offense coordinator that's the one that makes the offense work. It's Jared Goff. All John Morton is going to do is say, hey, you know what? What works best for you so that way we can continue to do what we do best. Whereas with Ben Johnson, it was, hey, how can I possibly make this look more about myself so that way I can get recognition, so I can get a fat paycheck, so that way I can go and be a head coach? Which, that's right, he's now with the Bears, and the Bears are floundering, and we haven't even gotten to the first preseason game yet. So, c'est la vie. But anyway, folks, I just couldn't help myself. I absolutely had to make this episode. And you know what? Anytime that this continues to happen with any sort of, proclivity or whatever else, I'm probably going to continue to make it because I cannot state it enough. Ben Johnson is not going to be the savior for the Chicago Bears. He is not going to turn Caleb Williams into some freaking, Renaissance quarterback. it ain't going to happen. And the reason why it's not going to happen is because, one, the Bears are not the Lions. They can't copycat us. You cannot transplant the Lions culture into Chicago and hope it's going to work. That's number one. But also, number two, yeah, that's right. The players that you have, they're not the same players on the Detroit Lions. They don't have the same temperament. They don't have the same ability to overcome adversity because, oh, that's right, they have not been put through the trials and the fires that the Lions players went through and have come through on the other side and have emerged victorious. Again, I go back to that scene from freaking Shawshank Redemption with Andy Dufresne at the very end of the film when Morgan Freeman is narrating, crawling through 500 yards of crap and then coming out clean on the other side. That's exactly what the Lions had to go through in 2021 and the early part of 2022. They've already gone through all their crap. They've already gone through all their trial and fire, and they've come through on the other side, and they look like a nice, bright, shiny diamond. The freaking Bears, they haven't even gotten turned out of coal yet. Just saying. But anyway, folks, I'm going to end this episode, and I just want to say thank you all for watching another episode of Motor City Mania. I hope you all enjoyed the content. I really do. If you did, I hope to gain your subscription if I've not done so already. But I also hope that if you've subscribed in the past and you forgot to do so at the time, or you just subscribed and you've not yet had a chance to do so, please make sure you hit that bell notification icon so you guys never miss any more content that I push out. Also want to hope and wish everybody a good day out there. Hope you all got something in your life that makes you happy, makes you smile. God bless, my friends. And until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.